Today we welcome Craig Gordon to the non-league radio show. He's going to talk everything about Tranent Juniors and Saltire Sports. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Much appreciated coming on your show today.
Not a problem at all. We know, well, people don't know, but you do a radio show. We're going to talk about that later. But first off, we're going to talk about Tranent Juniors. But before we get into them even, I want to talk about a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, no problem. I've been a fan of non-league football from a very, very young age. My grandfather used to always take me over to watch Tranent Juniors when I was younger, and I was just really hooked at going to non-league football, and it didn't really keep me going just to Tranent. I was searching out other local teams, the likes of the newly formed, not the newly formed, the newly named Ormiston Primrose, Preston Athletic, Musselburgh, Haddington, and of course Dunbar, who are all local to me. But on top of that, over the years, I've been to a lot of amateur football, which I think is a great thing to go to because it's a great avenue. I know people love going to the big games and all that, but they always forget about the non-league stuff. The likes of, as I say, Tranent Juniors, like the Lowland League, the East of Scotland League that we've got up here, the Lothian and Edinburgh Amateur Football Association as well, which have some cracking games and some cracking goals as well. And I mean, recently, when I was doing the radio show, which we'll go on to later, I was speaking to one of the guys at Tranent, and they came to me and said, "Look, Craig, because we've been promoted to the Lowland League, we're looking at getting someone to do the announcing at the game. Like announcing the teams, announcing the goals, and all that." So what I do is I'm usually over there about 90 minutes prior to the match. I'll get my speakers set up, check that my microphone's absolutely spot on. We'll get some tunes going in the background, and then I'll make sure by 2:30 I've got both teams. So for example, in a couple of weeks it's Tranent against Gretna. I'll go to Tranent. I'll usually have their team first by about. I'll usually go to the Tranent team first, but sometimes it's not easy getting the away team. But the greatness of social media, most of the teams have have a graphic up by maybe about 2:20. But some of the other teams like your Gretnas, your Dalbeatties and that don't usually put it up till late on. And I think that's a great ploy because if you see it, people say, "Oh, hang on a second. Yeah. Oh, they're playing him. We might just make a late change." Yeah. And that's what you're not wanting to. You're not going to put the team up too early, Stephen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that, I'm going to bore people with it, but every show since I've started this show, I'm amazed at how good people's social media is for their clubs and what they do. It's like unreal. To be honest, I didn't do the show and I didn't know that happened, but there's people at every club, 99% of the clubs that do excellent social media for them.
Oh, I mean, Stephen, you don't believe what me and a good mate of mine, I'm going to big this guy up, a guy called Ryan Kelly. Ryan used to always be doing stuff with Musselburgh. He's done stuff with Newton Grange and all that. And he culminates every week all the attendances for all the non-league games, like everything through the East of Scotland League and the Lowland League. He will culminate and then puts it up on social media. And I'm like, it's amazing how many people go and say, "Right, Ryan, there was a 150 at this one or 2,000 at that one." I'm like, how the heck are you knowing all this? Because, of course, everybody's going around with these counters, you see now. And then, of course, when the ground hop stuff comes up, like Tranent's they're involved in a ground hop this year in March against Bo'ness. And you'll have all the guys will be there and they'll have the recounters going around trying to get how many is there. But the thing is, there's 2 games before that on that day. So it's going to be interesting to see how many go to the first one at 11:15 and then end up at Tranent at 5:00. But the good thing about it, social media will keep you updated if there's any delays. Definitely. And all that. And it's unbelievable,
One thing that until you approached us and I searched the Tranent Juniors, the juniors bit confused us at first, and then obviously when I've read up on it, that bit was the way in the junior leagues and they left the junior leagues but kept the name.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought we were going to change it to, like Tranent FC or something like that. But I just think because of the heritage of the club, they've decided, to keep it. And I mean, I've seen so many, massive games there, and everybody will say, "Oh, who's your local club?" I mean, when you go away from home, they'll say, "Oh, Tranent Juniors." I say, "All right." So if I'm at a different non-league game, or I'm say away watching the team that I usually follow in the big leagues, you mentioned Tranent Juniors. I say, "Oh, I mind to see them with another non-league club." I'm like, "Oh, brilliant." So there is a lot of people that go to watch the big clubs, say Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs, but they also go and watch their local clubs, and that's what I try and encourage myself when I'm talking to people. It's not just about watching the big teams. There's other local teams there. Go and watch them. I mean, a lot of people don't know, that Tranent, really existed, but to give you an idea on, the thing in the club, we've got like the big long stand there, which has been there for a wee while, and I remember the old pavilion used to be iconic for it because it was great because it was how it was split for the two sets of teams. One coming out one door, one coming out the other door, and all that. And then now we've got the big pavilion, which is within a place for other stuff. But what's happened over the years is it's been great to see how the park has improved with the surrounds of it and the condition of the Foresters Park. And it's brilliant what the ground staff's done over the years to make it, probably one of the best surfaces in the Lowland League. Because you see a lot of the teams that'll come there and then they'll say to you after it, "My goodness, I wish we could play on that, maybe every week." Because, one of the elephants in the room with a lot of people is they don't like playing on, artificial surfaces. And in the Lowland League, I do know that there's a lot of teams now have that surface. I think Gretna was the newest team to get that. So, I don't. Can I see Tranent having it in a few years' time? Unless someone wins the lottery and gives them a big donation, to do that, I would be very surprised with that. But I've seen. I'll give you an example, Stephen. We played Glenafton a few years ago. This was back in the old junior leagues and that, and this was a junior cup tie. Was over 2,000 people at that ground. I think it was like 2,600 that was counted. The capacity, of course, online says about 2,300. This was before all the stuff was got. It's been all done on the ground, and now if anyone comes to the ground, it was just the atmosphere was absolutely ridiculous. And it's the same when you get one of the big Ayrshire teams. Say if you get like Auchinleck, when Auchinleck come, they've got probably one of the biggest fan bases I've seen for a travelling support. And it's like when they come, they take over your town. You try to go for a refreshment before the game, you just say, "Who's playing Auchinleck?" Nah, didn't even go near the place for a drink. Or try to get food. Just try and have something at home before you get there. But yeah, the Foresters will always be a good thing to me. As I say, it was the first place my grandfather took me to a game, and then, as I say, after that, I went on to watch league games. And I'll take a few of your listeners back to a team who played in the old third division in Scotland, and that was Meadowbank Thistle.
Yeah.
So that was when I went into the bigger ones. But I've always in my heart, my first choice for any football will always be a non-league game. So if I can't get to Tranent, I'll look at Ormiston, I'll look at Haddington, Dunbar, and all the other local teams. I'll always love the non-league football, and I'll always love the banter and all that when you go to games.
Excellent stuff. And quite correct. 2,300 it says online for the capacity, because I've got the Wikipedia up here, 44 seated. I'll shout out a little bit of this for people listening. Founded in 1911, nicknamed the Belters. And now I want you to tell a little bit about the management setup, who's the management team, the coaches, and about the league you're playing.
Yeah, when the thing was, when we got the promotion up to where we are now, which is the Lowland League. We went up there with Callum Elliott, and I got a message to me saying, "By the way, Craig, there's been a wee bit of a change." I went, What's happened?" I went, "Callum's left. Callum's leaving." I went, "Right." So luckily enough, I'd had on my radio show, and I says, "Callum, what's going on? Is everything okay?" He says, "Craig, I think I've taken the team as far as I'm able to take them, and I just want to go and do other stuff." I went, "Right, that's not a problem." And then, of course, what it's like on social media, right? Who's going to be this? Who's going to come in and do that? And I mean, when it was in the local papers and that Colin Nish had taken the job, we're thinking, right, we know what Nishi was like as a player and all that, but we didn't know really much about him as a manager. It has taken him a wee bit of time, to settle in to the club. And I will say one thing about him, Stephen, he's very, very approachable on game days and out with, which is fantastic. I mean, Stephen Hislop is back up on the touchline, absolutely brilliant. I mean, the banter when you're standing either near the dugout or when you're going through to like away games where I'm going to be going today, when we're doing this. It's just a banter when you're talking to the guys away from home and all that, or at home, is brilliant. One of the other coaches here, Alex Christie. I mean, I've known Eki for many a year. For when he was playing, he's played for Tranent and other clubs. And when they were looking at going for a manager after Callum left, I thought, well, wouldn't be bad depending who they want to bring in. Give it to Alec for the duration till they come. And he's a brilliant guy to have with Stevie, with Colin, and it doesn't matter where you stand in the ground, you can hear Eki going, "Get in and all that. I mean, Ryan Scott, great physio as well. I mean, he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes and all that to keep the guys fit and well and get them ready and all that. Mark Beveridge, me and him have had a few good bits of banter on social media and on the radio show. If there's maybe games I can't be at, I will say to him, "Look, mate, can you keep me posted on how things are going?" And that's the good thing about it, is the good relationship I've got with the likes of Mark. If I can't be at a game, he'll say, "Oh, right, Craig, blah, 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 blah," and right, that's perfect. But I would say one of the unsung heroes at the club has to be Stuart Darcy. I mean, the guy does the kit and that, and I'm so surprised if we're playing, say, a game on a Saturday, then a game on a Tuesday, then a game on a Saturday, then you're playing another game on a Tuesday. So it could be League Cup, or League. It's amazing how they're able to keep the kits going. I mean, a lot of people slagged us off like last year and even this year because of the colour of the away kit, because we've always been a team that's played in maroon. And then the away kit's usually either white and blue or straight blue. Last year and into this year, it's been black shorts with pink and black on the socks, and it's been a pink and black top. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of fans that have bought it, including myself. I own a copy of that top, and I think it was a great thing for them to do. And I mean, kudos to Stuart. He does a brilliant thing, as I say, with getting everything to do with the kit ready for the games, stuff ready for training, and that as well. And he does a wee bit of extra, social media stuff as well. And I can't say nothing more highly than him, and just saying he's just an absolutely amazing part of the team. And it's a great coaching staff and all that they've got there at Tranent.
And I'm looking at the league setup here for the Lowland League, because this is good for listeners as well. Because I've interviewed a few Scottish teams recently. I'm sort of getting used to this promotion relegation thing. But you've got a promotion playoff spot if you finish top. I'm guessing that's against the Highland League, is it? Does the winners of both leagues play each other and then decide who goes up and down?
I'll explain to your listeners how that Lowland League works. Especially with this year, we've got the addition of a B team from Hearts. So we've got a B team from Rangers, B team from Celtic, and a B team from Hearts. They all had to pay a certain amount of money to come in to the league, and what they've done was they made it so they each paid, the same amount. So it gave you 19 teams, and we thought, well, that's not going to be great for the fixtures and all that, because every couple of weeks somebody's going to have to miss a game. So, like, Tranent's got to miss 2 weeks a season. Another team's got to miss it. But the good thing about it is, you can be missing a league game. You might still be in, one of the many cups, like the South of Scotland Challenge Cup, the East of Scotland Qualifying Cup, which is a weird cup, because you had the old Scottish Qualifying Cup and that used to play. And this one, what they play is, if you get to the final, you go to play the old, what used to be called the City Cup. And if you get to the final of that trophy, you've got one team will go and play FC Edinburgh, another one will go and play Kelty. When it comes to the Lowland League, what happens is, if you finish top of that, like what Bonnyrigg done last year, Bonnyrigg played the winners of the Highland League home and away. If you win that, then you've got to play whoever finishes bottom of League Two. And if you win those 4 games, that's you into Scottish Division League Two.
That's a hard thing to do, that, isn't it? I think if you win your playoff against the Highland League, I think that should be personally, I think that should be promoted. Then having to play the team that's finished bottom's a bit. It's really pushing it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I knew, the perils that Bonnyrigg had to go through. They did get a couple of doings last year, and then they had to, endure, like the long trip up to Fraserburgh, Priest at the end of last season to go up, and that it was kind of like what Tranent had to do. Tranent played St Cuthbert's at the end of last season, beat them 7-0 on the Sunday at the Foresters, and then of course we're all thinking about the game down at Darvel, and that will always be one thing that'll never leave my memory, was the travel down, the travel back. But what happened in that game down there was just brilliant. The goals for Wayne McIntosh and Jamie Docherty, who is now moved on. The day was just absolutely brilliant. And now where Tranent are, to give the listeners an idea where they are just at the moment while we're doing this, we're currently sitting in the top 6 at the moment. There's only a point between top and I think the 6th place team at the moment. So it's really, really tight up there. And also, if you finish top 4, Stephen, you actually qualify for the SPFL Trust Trophy,
right,
in the Lowland League. So the good thing for Tranent is, if we were to finish top 4, so for example, it was Tranent. Here's hoping. Hopefully, I'm not going to jinx this for the rest of the supporters. Say it was Tranent, Spartans, East Kilbride, University of Stirling. Those 4 teams will go into the draw for the SPFL Trust Trophy next year. The winners, is it the winner? Yeah, and the winners actually go into the group stage of the League Cup in the SPFL as well. So as I say, so it's a good incentive there as well, regarding being in the Lowland League. But it is a very, very weird way of getting, out of that league. And the same if you're trying to get in it, because, as I say, Tranent had to play the winners of the South of Scotland League, which of course was St Cuthbert's, and the winners of the West of Scotland League, which was Darvel. So if they wanted to do it, they could have done it as a straight playoff, which I thought would have been better. But they've done it, I thought, a decent way. They made Darvel travel to St Cuthbert's, and what they done was they made sure each team had a home game. Yeah. So, as I say, Tranent played St Cuthbert's, then Darvel went to St Cuthbert's, and then, as I say, Tranent went to Darvel. So, in the Lowland League, I mean, I think there's some amazing teams there, and probably the best I've seen so far, University of Stirling. Unbelievable. So well drilled, mate.
A couple of things I want to touch on a personal level. I think if you finish bottom or you finish top, you should be getting promoted. Personally, I don't think you should then have to play a playoff. But I mean, that's a setup. That's what you're used to. Can the B teams from Celtic and Rangers get promoted, or have they got to stay in your league?
They will stay. They won't get promoted at all, Stephen. If the top three was to finish Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, it would be whoever's next. So it could be Tranent, Spartans, Cali Braves, East Kilbride, whoever it would be. But as I say, at the moment, it's really, really tight up there, and I still feel there's going to be so many twists and turns, and there's loads of teams taking, points off at everybody, and that's the greatness of that. But I agree with you. If you finish top, or you should have a thing so it's top two go up, bottom two come down, because we had the problems, as I say, with Vale Leaven. I mean, eventually Vale Leaven came down into the East of Scotland League, but I'm positive there's a thing in the constitution of that is if you finish bottom of the Lowland League, and depending on what happens at the top of the Lowland League, there is a chance of actually the top two going, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So there's a possibility of the top two going up from, the East of Scotland to the Lowland League. So it's an interesting incentive, but what they should have is, for me, 2 up, 2 down, make it fair. And the same when it goes with if you're going up to the SPFL. I know there's a thing between the Highland League, the Lowland League to go up. You just say, right, okay, who won the Highland League? Right, Fraserburgh. Who won the Lowland League? All right, Tranent. Those two, right. Who's the bottom two in the SPL? 2 now. Oh, that'll be Albion Rovers and say, I don't know who's there at the moment. I don't really pay much attention. Say for example, it was Bonnyrigg. No disrespect to the Bonnyrigg guys. I know a good few guys up there, and they're fighting well at the moment to try and stay where they are. If it was those two, and you had Tranent, and as I say, whoever it was, right, get them up. The likes of your Brora, your Brecons, whatever. Right, they 2 up, and then whoever's coming down, so like you say, if it's Albion Rovers or Bonnyrigg, right, Bonnyrigg, you drop back to the Lowland League. Albion Rovers, where are you based? All right, we'll put you towards the West of Scotland League, or the Highland League or whatever. Because that's what happened with Brecon, because Brecon had to, do what they had to do to try and keep themselves going. And as I say, they're now playing in the Highland League, and they're playing really well. But what I will say regarding Tranent as well, Stephen, because I was looking at the stuff you sent me before we were coming on, I have to say kudos to some of the young guns who are coming through, because I noticed we had problems with injuries recently, basically before the turn of the year into the new year. And we've had the likes, Aaron Folds, my goodness, this guy has got a wee bit of pace on him, and he can strike a ball, he can certainly score a few. Charlie Wilson as well, that's there. So it's great to see that our under-20s, who are playing not too badly. I mean, as I say, go to air, the one last night to keep some not bad form going. And as I say, it wouldn't surprise me if there's 2 or 3 of the guys going to be in the first team, or round about the first team between now and the end of the season, because there's a few absolutely top guys. And it wouldn't surprise me if Nishi's maybe looking at some of the other 20s teams as well, maybe trying to bring in other guys and say to Kevin Ritchie and actually, look, there's guys at that team why don't you bring them in there? And I might be able to use them either later on this season or, into the next season.
And I'm just looking at the league table there. Yes, the fifth at the minute, but there's only a point between fifth and first. You guys have looking at that's got the best defence at the minute against 25, which is the best in the league. And if Celtic and Rangers obviously can't get promoted, it makes it even tighter at the top. After there's a bit of a drop to East Kilbride, and after that there's a few teams like 4 or 5 points behind, but there's a big group at the top who seem to be sticking together there after 20, 24, 23 games or whatever it is.
Yeah, I would say between Spartans, University of Stirling, Tranent, East Kilbride, Open Goal, Civil. I'd even go down as far as the Caledonian Braves. I've only seen them once against Tranent earlier in the season, and as I say, I'll see them again soon against Tranent in the return. And I think they've got an amazing setup at what they do. Of course, they used to be classed as Edu Sport Academy. And I think they've done a great thing what they're doing. And at their home games, just to let all your listeners know, see when you go to a home game at Caledonian Braves, it's a donation. Right. That's all they're accepting for people to go into a Lowland League game. You're maybe paying £6 at Edinburgh Uni or £10 at Berwick Rangers or £8 at Tranent or £10 at the Falkirk Stadium for East Stirlingshire. You see how much you're paying in different games, and then they're asking for a donation. And I've always said about the Lowland League, it's affordable football. It's the same with the East of Scotland, where Tranent won last season. Tranent were only charging I think it was either £6 or £7. Yeah. And you're seeing some amazing football and some amazing goals from different players,
Well, we've got plenty of time to talk about your radio show, but I want to touch on the fans. What sort of numbers are we talking fans on a match day at Tranent?
I'll say one thing. The home support are absolutely brilliant. I'm part of what we call the football family. I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of the guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Lindsay Young. Lindsay is one of probably the unsung heroes when it comes to the club. She arranges all the buses and that for our away games and all that. And as I say, we're looking at the future of getting hopefully our own supporters bus for going to games and all that. Because as I say, with away games, we've been going with the team recently. But she puts the posts up. She'll ask people if they're going. And then you've got the likes Kenny, who keeps us going for when we're getting into the games. And you've got other guys like Reese and Jim and Big Bob and all that. And the banter is just brilliant when we're going to away games. The Foresters, I think we're averaging at the moment around about, if I'm right in thinking, the guys can probably come back to me on this. I'm sure we're averaging around about 500, between 350 to 500, depending on the opponent. And if I was remembered the other day, I think it was near enough 1,200 we had there when Tranent played Rangers earlier in the season. And that was unbelievable because, as I say, the first team Rangers weren't playing at the time. So a lot of the guys who maybe go to that game locally came to the Foresters. And as I say, I think it was Celtic as well. We had a decent crowd. I think Hearts was as well. I actually missed the Hearts and Celtic home games due to work commitments. And but the banter is unbelievable there. The regular guys that come all the time, they'll always come in the top gate and they'll just say, how you doing? You keeping well and all that. And it's brilliant. And as I say, the banter and the camaraderie between, the team, the fans, is just absolutely brilliant. And it's great. And as I say, the unsung heroes need to be shouted out, I feel, not just for what they do for the club, as I was talking about Stuart Darcy earlier on, but the likes of Lindsay, who does the buses, and young Hayden McClay, I'll give him a wee shout out as well. He does a lot the social media stuff, and he does like the home posters that they put up on social media. and we also get posters put up for the home games as well to let people know, like Tranent's at home. So if we've maybe got two home games, they'll have two separate posters. So, for example, if you're playing one on the Saturday, one on the Tuesday, there you go, right in the middle of the high street. One of the shops has got the two posters there, and I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so we're going to go on to talk about your radio show now, but if people want to check out Tranent Juniors online, tranentjuniorsfc.co.uk is the website. That's got links to everything there, some great pictures of the pie hut and stuff on there as well, I've seen. But the Twitter is Tranent Juniors, but it's GRS_FC. You want to give this a shout out or give them a follow, please do so. Right, Craig, we want to go on to your radio show. With the time I've got left, I want to hear about this sports show you do.
Yeah, no problem at all. What it was is I started a Saturday show called Saltire Sports Live. I was asked to come back to the radio station that I'm at Radio Saltire, and they basically said, "Look, Craig, we're looking to do a sports show on a Saturday," and then, of course, the way my work changed, I wasn't able to do every Saturday, so I created the local sports show on the Friday. And what culminated in that show is I bring on, as I was saying earlier on, the likes of Mark from Tranent and representatives from all the 6 local teams, your Tranent, Ormiston, Dunbar, Musselburgh, Preston and Haddington. Will come on, we'll talk about the last game, we'll talk about the next game, and I'll also give them a chance to say, if they've got any, initiatives coming up. So they've maybe got, like, for example, Musselburgh at the moment, they've got 3 home games coming up and they're doing a great deal for adults and concessions coming on. Or if Dunbar's got a race night or Preston's got a fundraiser, I'll give the guys a chance, to promote that. And a lot of people say, that's a great thing that you're doing. You should be, getting this or getting that for doing it. I went, look, I love doing it. I mean, I've only been doing this one now for just over a year, the one on the Friday. But all told, I've been doing the sports radio for myself for 5 years. And Stephen, it's been amazing doing it. The amount of feedback that I get from people saying, Craig, it's great, with all your previews and what you're getting, the feedback you're getting from the clubs and that as well. But I'm not just doing football. I've got other sports that I cover as well. But I would say I was at least about 80% of that show on a Friday night. I cover is local football. More, I would say more importantly, non-league football. So the Lothian and Edinburgh Amateur Football Association, the Edinburgh Churches League. I mean, they games kick off like maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, even as late as 11 o'clock in the morning. So it gives people a chance to, maybe go to one of those games or then go to a game of amateurs, or if you're going to Tynecastle, Easter Road or whatever, you can actually go to one of those games and then go and see your main team. And I try and say to people, look, here's your games in the Churches League, here's your games in the Amateur League. If you're going to watch your big team on the Saturday, or you're going to see your big team on the on the Sunday, always keep your eyes around where you are. You've got games in the Lowland League, games in the East of Scotland League, games in the amateurs, games in the Churches League, and then even you've got a lot of parents who have got their kids playing locally as well. Go and even watch that. I mean, to give you listeners a wee bit as well, during the show, back end of the show last year, I had Michael and Sam Windrum, who are the coaching staff at Musselburgh Windsor under-18s girls. They won their 4th straight double last season, and they added the Scottish Challenge Cup with a penalties win over Drumchapel. Sorry, not penalties win, I do apologise. An extra time win over Drumchapel at Stenhousemuir, which was an unbelievable experience. It was great to even be at the semi-final when they beat Dumbarton United 6-1 at the Orium, and then they made it come along as a guest to cover as well over at Oakville View, and absolutely unbelievable. Great setup as well at Musselburgh Windsor. Big shout out to they guys as well. They've been going for absolutely years, not just doing the boys' football, but the girls and the ladies' team as well, which are due to start very, very soon for their season. So, yeah, I absolutely love it, Stephen. I love doing the show. As I say, I will be keeping it going as long as I can. I've just really enjoyed, you know, doing what I'm doing with the show, and I don't just be doing it myself. What I done at the back end of last season was I got representatives from all the local teams to come in for maybe 30, 40 minutes, talk about their clubs, talk about what their season had, what their aspirations are for the club going forward, and everything. And the feedback that I got from people was, Craig, why did you not even just do this to start with? Instead of doing, just the Saturday. But the Saturday was great. But the pressure you're under on a Saturday to cover the SPFL, to cover the amateurs, to cover the Lowland League, to cover the East of Scotland. Yeah, honestly, Stephen, I don't know about yourself, but I've had about 8 to 10 windows open on the computer trying to and then refresh.
It's great actually. It's great to actually speak to someone who does similar to me, because I realised very quickly that I couldn't cover everything I wanted to cover on a weekend in non-league football. So hence why I created a team of the week and a league of the week. And my idea in my head was, I'll be able to get contacts at games and go over at half time to people and find out what's happening. It's not going to happen, because it's, like you say, you've got that many windows open for goals going in, shout outs, people tagging you and things. And then there's a lot of time you've got to put in actually getting guests for your show, arranging, like, I put some unsigned music on in between things. And it takes up most of your life. I've got to say, doing the shows, I quickly found out that it's a lot harder than I thought. I couldn't cover every single team I wanted to cover. You can't. I would like to have went at half time to people at grounds to talk about what's going on at certain places. So I've got like a team of the week and a league of the week. And if people hashtag us in things, luckily at the minute, the hashtagging hasn't went crazy, because I would be struggling to keep up on a Saturday. And I need these recorded interviews with people like yourself, which are great, because I find out about things I'd never found out about in my life, clubs some I've never even heard of. But it takes over your life. It's a passion. It's like you say, planning the show, getting guests for the show, recording interviews. Like I spoke to you before the show, we do a music show as well. Once a fortnight now, the wife and myself do different shows, and it takes over your whole week planning.
Oh yeah, I mean, with myself, I'm when I'm trying to fit in stuff for when I'm doing the show on the Friday night, my prep starts from like today, when I'm when I go to like a game today. What I'll do is I'll copy all the results from I get sent all the East of Scotland results, thanks to Robert from at FT Scores, who does an amazing job culminating all those scores, West of Scotland scores, and all that as well. Unbelievable guy. And then what I'll do is I'll say, right, I've got them for next week, so I've got them set. Right, Lowland League, right, got that. Lowland League table, yep, got that. And then what I do is usually Monday, Tuesday, I'll send out a message that we've got in a WhatsApp chat, and I'll just say, right, guys, just doing the usual check for Friday, who's available, who's not. And then I know exactly, because what I try and do is I keep the same people at the same times. And then it makes it a lot easier. Then what I've done the other week, then what I'm going to try and do every week, just to let everyone else know, is I try and have a detailed timing. So and just say to people, this is rough timings, guys, because sometimes interviews can go, as you know yourself.
Yeah. Some
of the interviews can go over this a little bit. And I'll just say, look, this will be, they'll be on there, they'll be on there, they'll be on there. And what I'll do is, if I'm playing, say, maybe a set of adverts or that, which we have to do, I'll just send a message to them and just say, right, guys, we're coming to the last advert. I'll get them on, quick blether, put them on hold, then bring them on, and then it's great. And as you say, I mean, before I really got back into doing a full-on radio show 4 years ago, I still had, I mean, all my main contacts in East of Scotland and all that. And people say, was that a bonus to you when you first started the show? I went, tell me about it, especially on the Saturday, because I was able to get, 2 or 3 people phoning in from games, giving me reviews, what's happened in the games as well. But now we're having the Friday, it's the perfect thing for them guys to come on, say to people, what's happened in the game before. And also in that, because the way the weather is at this time of year,
Yeah.
they can say to fans, look, there is a possibility the game might be on, or there's a possibility the game might not be on. So I just think it's a great thing. As I say, what I do with my show, what you do with yours, and what the guys do on social media, as we've already said, the guys on social media are just unbelievable what they do, and keeping people updated on all that. I mean, I'll put maybe a thing and say, right, guys, all the local games are on here in East Lothian. And then I could get a message on Twitter, maybe say about 10:30, Craig, just to let you know such and such a game is off. What I'll do is I know one of my colleagues at the station's on live. I'll send him a message and just say, look, mate, do me a favour. You're on air. Go and give that a shout out for me. That game's now off. And then within maybe 10 minutes, it's on the radio. So I've got a good relationship as well with the radio station and the guy that's usually on a Saturday morning. Because what I do is, the minute I know if a local game's off, I send them a message. Is it Colin? Say, for example, Tranent versus Linlithgow, game's off due to a waterlogged pitch or due to a frozen pitch, and he'll announce it straight away. And then people say, does that muck up yourself, Craig, for going to games? I went, no, really. What I'll always have is my main game and what my backup game would be. And it's always a good thing to have that. And when I'm at games as well, I'll also live tweet the games. So I'll get the teams, even when I'm doing the announcing at Tranent, I'm live tweeting the game, but I'm also looking at the other Lowland League games. So when it comes to half time, I'll have the half time scores. So just before the teams and that'll come out, I'll just say, right, folks, here's the half time scores around the Lowland League. Plus, I try and get all the local teams' results, latest results from the East of Scotland as well, just to let people know what things are going on. So, yeah, I'll say one thing, mate. If it wasn't for social media, I think a lot of these guys shows that, and the shows that myself and you do, would probably struggle to get the information that we've got.
Oh, definitely. Some of the contacts I've got, luckily, like you, I've got a friend who got us loads of interviews in the beginning, who's involved in coaching down at Huddersfield. But after that, it's just like you follow people, you get in contact with people, and the response has been great. People I wouldn't expect to get a response from, it's been, yes, no problem, just let us know when, we'll sort of zoom out and record something. And it's, like you say, you're just building up, and the exposure, like, it just blew up for me. Like, within like a month, I was like, bloody hell, what's happening here? This is going crazy. But it's good because I need content, because I can't speak for 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon, because I could, but I would just talking rubbish. So I could speak for 2 hours, but then it would just become boring. So I need great interviews, and I need content to put on the show to break it all up. But yes, social media has been massive. I'm just looking, actually trending at the minute is match postponed on Twitter, but I'll give you links out to the radio. Saltire Sports CG, your Craig radio DJ. You're on Friday nights at 7 till 10. It's free on the Radio Saltire app, or 106.7 to 107.2 Edinburgh, Lothians and Fife. And I could speak all day to you, Craig. I really could. I can feel your passion for your football and what you do. It's great.
Oh, mate, I love going to whatever football I do. I mean, if I could do it, depending on the work in the show, I would go a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday to games. So because usually when I'm off on a Saturday, like I am today, as I say, I'm away to a game later on. But if I was off Saturday, Sunday, I'd be looking at 2 amateur games tomorrow. I'd do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Of course, weather permitting. So I just, as I say, love going to football, love being involved in football, and as I say, with my main hobby being the radio as well, it just keeps you going. And what I can say, Stephen, is many thanks for letting me come on and talk, not just about what I do with the radio, but more importantly, highlight what goes on at Tranent Juniors and what goes on, as I say, in non-league football up here in Scotland.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure.